What can we do to protect ourselves from UV radiation? Well, there's two very obvious things, sunscreen and our ozone layer. Now, there's a couple other things though. What else can we do? Well, we can use shade. We can wear a hat. We can wear long pants. We can wear long sleeves. You might have seen in some activewear stores, they actually sell things that are marketed as being protective from UV and also breathable. So if you are out, say, hiking, and you're going to be out in the sun where you're not going to have a lot of shade, but you also might be working up a sweat, they do sell clothing that is long sleeved that is made to protect from UV radiation. So I think I've seen those in the Columbia outlet store when I've gone, and other activewear places. So I think Eddie Bauer does clothing like that. So there's definitely stuff out there where you can get clothes that, I mean, yes, this will protect you too, but this is a sweatshirt. So unless it's cool out, I might not want to wear a sweatshirt because it might get too hot. So I want something that's going to give me protection, but is also breathable. Okay? So those are some other things that you can do. But let's take a look at sunscreens. There's a couple different types of sunscreens. Now, the two main types that they talk about are chemical and physical. Chemical sunscreens, what they end up doing is they absorb what comes in from the radiation, and then there's a reaction, and then it sends it off. Physical sunscreens, a lot of it, what it does is it causes the UV to just bounce off, but there's also a reaction that occurs. So physical sunscreen does a little bit of both. And so when we talk about chemical sunscreens, so they're synthetic chemical substances. I have a couple of structures of what they look like. There's this benzyl cinnamate, avobenzone, and so they absorb up to different levels. And so the sunscreen absorbs the UV, and then the sunscreen molecules end up getting destroyed over time rather than your skin being destroyed. Our physical sunscreens are these like titanium dioxide, zinc oxide. And so these particles, because most of the stuff is reflected that comes in instead of all reacting, they don't break down the same way over time. Now, one thing about physical sunscreens though, so if you've ever seen people walking around with like the totally white nose or their face completely white, they do have a lot more of a visible factor to them than the chemical sunscreens do. So you do see the physical sunscreens. These are not going to rub in and sink into your skin the same way that the chemical sunscreens are. So they're definitely going to be noticeable. And then, of course, our ozone layer. It's a natural protection to the UV radiation from the sun. And so the image I have here, this is from your textbook. And so it just kind of gives you an idea of where in the atmosphere that ozone layer is situated in relation to high peaks like Mount Everest. So you can see how much higher up the ozone layer is than something like Mount Everest. Okay, so now we're going to talk a lot more about the ozone layer because it does protect us from the sun, but there's things that we have done that have started to harm that ozone layer. So we're going to move into talking about what the ozone layer does.